Coming up on the Stifel Snow Show, we have got a lot to celebrate as Mikaela Shiffrin skis herself into the history books yet again with a huge slalom win in Sestriere. And it all came alongside a teammate also on the podium. Meanwhile, in Moguls, Jaelin Kauf is becoming unbeatable on snow and in the air, wrapping up a 5th consecutive win. We'll show you her race sweep in China. And things just got crystal clear for snowboard halfpipe's Maddie Mastro, who's topped the standings to win her first ever globe. Girl power, let's go. Well, welcome into an historic edition of the Stifel Snow Show as we celebrate Mikaela Shiffrin's incredible feat. I'm Cara Banks, bringing you the latest and greatest in skiing and snowboarding from around the globe. From 1 to 100, each podium represents an enormous accomplishment for these elite athletes on snow. Well, with that, let's see where members of the US ski and snowboard team were competing recently. The moguls and aerial teams were treated to Bluebird Days in Beidahu, China. It was the snowboarders' annual stop in Calgary, Alberta for Canada's Snow Rodeo, while para-snowboard kept it close to home in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Then back to Canada and Stoneham, Quebec for exciting Freeski slopestyle. And Sestriere, Italy will now forever be in alpine folklore, and we will focus on the historic week in women's alpine. Let's start from the very beginning and what has been a magical career for the greatest alpine skier of all time. It dates back to 2012 when 17-year-old Mikaela Shiffrin earned her first World Cup win. 2 years later, she became the Olympic champion in women's slalom. At the next Winter Games, she added to her medal count. The following year, she set a single-season record with an astonishing 17 wins on the World Cup circuit. Slalom has always been her speciality and saw Shiffrin set a new record for a single discipline. 2023 was monumental as the phenom broke Ingemar Stenmark's all-time count of 86 that had stood for 34 years. And just last weekend, 13 years after her first, she wins an unprecedented 100th World Cup title. It is worth noting that Michaela has suffered very few major injuries in a sport which assumes a high degree of risk. 2024, though, saw the tide turn when a downhill crash in January resulted in ankle and knee injuries that temporarily sidelined her, only to close out the year with a serious crash during Killington's giant slalom in November. That resulted in a puncture to her obliques and a subsequent surgery. While her mindful, recovery-focused 2025 and a willingness to be vulnerable have ultimately created the space for Shiffrin to once again succeed. Our Steve Perino capturing the brilliance on the call as Mikaela Shiffrin is, unsurprisingly, our Stifel Star of the Week.
100 World Cup wins. Mikaela Shiffrin is chasing it right now. 75% of the time she has led after the first run. She has brought it home to victory, and Mikaela Shiffrin well on her way right now, leaving nothing to chance. It is stunning. From the doldrums to brilliance, Mikaela Shiffrin, it is 100. Untouchable, unreachable, and I think unrepeatable.
Well, time now for our Fast Facts powered by iFit. Kind of incredible that Michaela appears twice on the all-time wins list by the numbers, obviously leading the way with 100, but she's also in 5th for her slalom wins alone. The tech specialist is truly dominant in that discipline. And the feat this past weekend marked another milestone as Michaela also tied an all-time World Cup record for men and women with her 155th career top 3 finish, matching none other than Swedish great Ingemar Stenmark, who previously praised Shiffrin for, quote, writing her own new beautiful story. While this victory was truly a global headline, everyone from the Wall Street Journal and New York Times to People magazine and other international publications covered the historic achievement. Greats from the world of sport weighed in on social media. Other athletes like Lindsey Vonn, Billie Jean King, Coco Gauff and Gabby Thomas, even franchises such as the Broncos were quick to congratulate, and one of her favorite musicians, Noah Khan. Mikaela Shiffrin is making skiing mainstream. And now we can welcome her to the Stifel Snow Show, Miss 100, Mikaela Shiffrin. Congratulations. Michaela, we got so much to get into. I want to just rewind a little bit. 2 days before the win, you posted on Instagram that you didn't feel entirely yourself yet after recovering from the injury in November. So, how did you accomplish this?
It's maybe a little bit of a longer story than we actually want to get into, but I think after the crash in Killington and the injury earlier this season, it's been a really challenging road to recovery. Probably an injury that should have taken me out for the season, to be honest. But there is, of course, there's a lot to come. There's a lot to come next year. There's a lot to come next race season with the Olympics and with everything coming up. And it hasn't really felt like we could afford to take the easy route, or the route of kind of taking my time to really recover and just trying to get back into racing as soon as possible so that I could practice and kind of work through whatever mental challenges would arise. And at the time, when we were planning to come back for Courchevel and potentially racing at World Championships, the world was really excited, and I was really excited. A lot of my teammates have been incredibly helpful in talking about their own journeys post injury and getting back to racing. And I've been able to get a lot of information these last few weeks from a lot of different people, which is super helpful for me. I'm very thankful for that, and I was really, really excited to make that mind-body connection on Sunday, especially on the second run. I was really proud of that run, to be able to put some of my better skiing out there. That was really quite a special moment.
Given all of that you have been going through, I think that makes this win even more spectacular. And I think it's fair to say, Michaela, that the skiing world, at least, has probably been looking forward to this iconic 100th win since last season. So injuries aside for a moment, what emotional toll did the chase to 100 take on you? And ultimately, how much of a relief has it been to achieve?
I came into this season feeling like anything can happen. What I learned from last season and the injury that I got in Cortina, and I know injuries aside, but one of the biggest learning experiences from last year was anything can happen. So coming into this season, I never even dared to expect that we would get to 100. I wouldn't say it's a relief. Honestly, I would say it's almost a surprise. After everything that's happened in the last months, I honestly did not anticipate 100 was going to happen this season. So I'm thankful. And yeah, maybe still a little bit surprised.
Okay, so let's relive it. Killington, you mentioned, was the first opportunity that you had a chance to get to 100. We know what happened. Sestriere is the place that it all came to life. So from your perspective, let's watch it back. Can you take us through what you were feeling and thinking? As you said, your mind and body were in unison. Let's take a look.
My coach set this course, and I was a little bit, I was really worried that I was going to mess something up, and that, sometimes a coach will feel some responsibility if I didn't do it right. So I really wanted to do a good job. There were some kind of tracks and grooves in the course. It was a pretty warm day, so it was getting pretty beat up, and I was trying to just match the rhythm, really just focus on the rhythm of my skiing and try to be as clean as possible, even through some of the holes, and keep moving myself forward. In this section, I was getting thrown about a little bit, and it was just keep moving forward. And this is quite a long slalom, and I haven't had a lot of full-length slalom courses in the last few months, so I was pretty exhausted by this point, but keep pushing to the finish. I was really, really trying to drive forward. This moment is funny. People always make fun of my finish celebrations. I was looking for the scoreboard there, and I couldn't actually really see it, so I thought that it said fourth, not first, and I was like, wait, what does that say? And I couldn't see Paula's name either. So I was just completely out of my own body at this point. And then Paula came up and literally lifted me up off the ground. She had been just incredible all day. She kept saying, I believe in you, you believe in yourself, and just having support from teammates in that way. And especially Paula has had just a spectacular season, and we're oftentimes, and hopefully in the future, we're going to be, fighting each other for wins. That's my hope. And I can't wait for the first time that I get to give her a hug when she's come through the finish line and won a race.
I think everyone has probably appreciated your honesty and vulnerability, and I'm sure a lot of people, Michaela, can relate as well to what you were going through. Is there anything you can share that you have done as part of your psychological recovery to try and get back into the starting gate and to make these incremental steps of improvement?
One thing is been trying to be honest about what I'm feeling and where I'm at, and trying my best to be communicative with the team around me. Not always easy. As an athlete, you're really trained to believe that you can or should be able to take on anything. And when we're ski racers and you're sort of putting this into the context of a sport that is innately dangerous, there's a certain amount of risk that we take on every time we get in the start gate or push out of the gate. What is a pretty big issue in ski racing, maybe this is just in sports, if you're not successful, there's just a general vibe that you're not good enough. Like, it's a little hard to explain, but if an athlete is fast in training and slow in races, then it's just like, oh, you're a head case and there's just something wrong with you. I would love to see dissipate over time to change the perspective of what this sport is and what the demands are, and help more athletes understand what they might be experiencing. Because I'm not the first who's crashed. I'm not the last who's crashed. And my crash wasn't the worst that we've seen.
Michaela, thank you so much. I know this has been a busy time for you as the world wants to celebrate your success. So thank you for taking the time. Congratulations.
Thank
and we
you
can't
so
wait
much.
to see everything that's ahead this season and, of course, into Cortina.
Thank you.
Well, alongside Michaela, as we mentioned, Paula Moltzan was also on the podium in Sestriere, taking third in the slalom to mark her third top three finish of the season, but her first in slalom. And she admitted it was, of course, an honour to share such a significant milestone with Michaela. It was time to celebrate together as a team.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la, Team USA. Come on! Team USA.
Here is Jaelin Kauf. Wow, Kauf has the confidence, she has the speed.
Just asserting dominance here.
Fastest skier out here, going super fast. The Jays are flying.
Wow.
Another victory for Jaelin Kauf.
2022 Olympic silver medalist Jaelin Kauf has finished second in the overall Moguls World Cup season standings 3 times. But you know what? She's had enough of being the bridesmaid. So last week, coming off 2 wins at Deer Valley, she was looking to continue her historic season in Beidahu, China, and achieve something which hadn't been seen by a US skier in more than a decade. In Moguls, where all 6 US athletes had advanced through qualifying for the finals, Kauf would post the fastest time heading into super finals, where she stayed true to just trying to improve a little bit each run and save the best for last. Teammate Olivia Giaccio had already notched 4 podiums in the discipline this season, and despite a lot of ups and downs already in China, the Columbia grad was still really excited to improve every run. But her season ended early, as the following day Giaccio announced she had sustained a broken collarbone in dual moguls competition. Nevertheless, she finished 3rd behind another victory for Kauf. Now 2 dual moguls and the small final where American Tess Johnson would match up against teammate Kylie Karyotis. Quick out of the gate, Kylie, though, would unfortunately ski out right before the bottom air. And in the big final, Kauf, wearing the yellow bib as the overall leader, would battle it out against rival Perrine Lafont of France and would go on to win her 5th consecutive race to mark the longest win streak for an American between moguls and dual moguls since Hannah Carney won 16 in a row in 2011 and 2012. Lafont finished 2nd and Tess Johnson completed the podium. Well, now two men's aerials, where 2022 Olympian Lillis pulled out all the tricks in Beidahu, including a variation on the quad-twisting triple backflip known as the Daddy, while Lillis crushed it, earning the highest landing score of the round to finish third and reach his third podium of the season. In the mixed aerials team event, Chris and Quinn Dellinger, who took first in Deer Valley, added Elliott to the team. Now don't forget, Lillis was a part of the gold medal winning team in the event at the 2022 Beijing Olympic Games. Having placed 7th at the last team event at Lake Placid in January, the US team finished 2nd in China. Hopping to Stoneham, Quebec calendar and women's ski slopestyle, where Park City, Utah's Rell Harwood was the sole woman on the Stifel US Freeski team to progress to finals. Having added a new trick to her repertoire recently, a switch front 450, which she got to use. Harwood executed cleanly, putting down a solid second run. Taking third meant back-to-back slopestyle podiums for the 23-year-old after finishing third at the Toyota US Grand Prix in Aspen. This was just her second slopestyle podium ever.
I got into snowboarding when I was 5 or 6. First, I started as a skier, don't tell anyone. I was promised a pink snowboard, and once I got that pink snowboard, I was hooked from then on out.
Oh, front double cork 1080!
When you look at action sports athletes, you think we don't feel fear, but for me personally, that is not the case at all. I'm very much scared at times, and fear very much does exist every time I strap into my snowboard. If you watch me at the top of the half pipe, it would be like watching a circus. I'll stand at the top and I will physically start visualizing my run. You'll see me moving my entire body, doing all the rotations. If I run it through my head visually, then I've already landed my run. So what's one more time of actually doing it? I've already done it mentally.
Maddie's riding so strong right now. She's very confident.
I do think that helps. I hope it helps. I think it does. I've made it here so far, so it's working.
Imagine the focus to just envision the run. While fear maybe is just one of the motivators, as Maddie Mastro has been riding this wave of continued development from an early age when most kids are settling into kindergarten. The Wrightwood, California native has consistently pushed the progression of snowboarding with her signature never-been-done tricks. Her recipe for success would prove itself at the 2025 Snow Rodeo in Calgary.
It's not that serious.
Well, it wasn't her first rodeo, and apparently not that serious for the yellow bib-wearing Mastro, standing first overall. The recently turned 25-year-old laced together an impressive half-pipe run, ultimately putting her in second place on the podium. Much to the delight of her fave travel companion, her dog Pip. It was enough for Mastro to hold on to her overall margin, securing the season's coveted Crystal Globe, her first ever. Even her younger teammates were quick to emphasize the achievement during an interview.
Maddie, the World Cup season has just come to an end here in Calgary. You've had an incredible season, taking home the Crystal Globe. Take us through your emotions.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is the first time I've taken home the Globe, so it means a lot that I finally got one, so I'm excited to have one.
The queen of snowboarding's in town. Crystal Globe winner!
Well, that teammate was 16-year-old Alessandro Barbieri, who threw down his own impressive run to secure the first World Cup podium of his very young career. The Portland, Oregon native has a first snow rodeo to remember. So, ditch the helmet, don the Stetson. Barbieri celebrated his number 3 spot on the halfpipe podium with some age-appropriate bubbling. Twisting over to snowboard slopestyle, where Sweet 16 seemed to remain the theme. Rookie Ollie Martin delivered the American momentum of the day. The Wolcott, Colorado native's impressive tricks returned a resounding roar from the crowd. Veteran composure was on full display from Olympic gold medalist Red Gerard, who took second this season in lax and was also still aglow off X Games Aspen gold. In the end, Martin struck snow rodeo gold with 2 major milestones, his first World Cup podium and victory, sharing that podium with Red, who took second. But it was the youngster who earned the belt buckle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is time now to shine the light on a 17-year-old in para-alpine. Audrey Crowley recently took bronze in standing giant slalom at her World Championship debut in Slovenia. Inspired by their determination, Crowley has called both Mikaela Shiffrin and Lindsey Vonn strong female role models. But perhaps she is inspiring others. Audrey Crowley is our Stifel Spotlight. Crowley's classmates at Vale Ski and Snowboard Academy welcomed back their 2019 Athlete of the Year in style. The heartwarming support of the student body on full display at her homecoming in celebration of the high school seniors' recent accomplishment. US ski and snowboard team athlete Ollie Martin is also a current student. Mogul skier Tess and alpine skier Paula Moltzan are alums. Big para snowboard news out of Steamboat Springs, Colorado, where US athletes rocked their first home snow World Cup start since 2017. On the women's side, Brenna Huckaby took first and second place on day 1 and 2 respectively and topped it off with the Crystal Globe. Monster Mike Schultz bringing the energy on the men's side with the first and third, and Noah Elliott would bring home 2 second-place finishes and land the Crystal Globe on the men's side. Snowboard Cross is featuring several athletes to watch as we head towards the 2026 Paralympics in Milan Cortina. Well, that's all for now in this week's edition of the Stifel Snow Show. Catch our next episode on CNBC on March 8th. It's bye from me, Cara Banks, and for now, we'll leave you with other messages of congratulations for Miss Michaela.
100. I remember seeing you when you were 12. Look at you now. Amazing.
Are you kidding me? 100, 100, 100 for Mikaela Shiffrin.
You're the greatest of all time, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Your 100th win is absolutely incredible. I don't know how you do it.
100. 100. Boom. Like what?